is the Lexus Sports Extra with Josh Moser, Mike DePasquale, Donovan Campbell, and Drew Rosenhaus.
Hi, everybody. It is Sunday night at 11:30. You know what time it is. This is Lexus Sports Extra. I'm Josh Moser. We have a loaded 30 minutes of sports for you. And did you catch tonight's NBA All-Star game? Not a lot of defense, but plenty of high-flying action and long threes. Heat head coach Eric Spoelstra in charge of Team Durant. Former Heat great Dwayne Wade honored at halftime, a member of the 75th anniversary team. Jimmy Butler, the lone Miami All-Star, playing for Team LeBron's second quarter, little mid-range. Butler just 2 points in 9 minutes. This game getting good in the third. Steph Curry starting to get hot. This one from way downtown that tied the quarter at 19. Then the next time down the floor, how about the no-look make? An All-Star game record, 16 triples. Fourth quarter, check this. Curry, incredible floater. Woo-hoo-hoo. That gave him 50. The first team to 163 points wins in Cleveland. Who else you gonna go to than LeBron? Buckets over 2 defenders. LeBron walking this one off. 163-160 the final. Curry, your MVP. League play resuming Thursday. The Heat return from the break Friday against the Knicks at the Garden. This is what the East looks like at the All-Star break. Your Miami Heat own the top spot at 38-21, earning the tiebreaker over the Knicks, Philly, Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Boston, rounding out the top 6. For more on the Heat at the break, we bring in our insider Ethan Skolnick. And Ethan, right now Miami's in the top spot in the East. How important is playoff seeding for this Heat team?
Well, I think it matters, but maybe not as much as in past seasons, because the East is really different than it has been. I mean, you're talking about a conference that really is 6, 7, 8 teams deep. We haven't seen that in a while. Home court will matter, no question about it. You want to get into the top 4, but you really don't know who you're going to see. I mean, right now, Brooklyn's in the 8th spot. You don't really want them in the first round, right? So if you're the one. So I don't think this is going to be about jockeying for positioning as much as get as many home court series as you possibly can, and then you kind of see where the draw falls.
23 games left. What's most important for the Heat to show you to prove that they're a true NBA championship contender?
Well, I'm going to start with health, because they haven't had that all season. So they got to have their top 4, and that includes Tyler Hero, together for an extended period of time. But to me, the single biggest thing that is going to separate this team from being a team that could be a second-round team or a finals team is Bam Adebayo's aggression. We've seen it lately. If he can go from star to superstar, and it's in him, we have seen it for stretches, this team's ceiling is extremely high. If not, they're going to struggle at times during the end of games. We know in the playoffs, your best players play more minutes. So the Heat's best players have to be great. And to me, the guy who has to elevate most is Bam.
Let's talk about Victor Oladipo working back from injury. If healthy, how much does he help this team?
Well, I think he helps. I don't think it's as big a concern as it was before the year because of the way that guys like Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent have played. But Victor adds something that they don't really have, which is rim pressure. I think that will help on the offensive end. And also, he's not a guy you can hunt defensively at the end of games. We know Tyler Hero can give you offense at the end of games, but we know sometimes opponents will pick on him on the other end. You can't do that to Vic. So if things aren't going well defensively, you can put Oladipo in for Hero, and you can put 5 elite defenders on the floor at the same time to close games.
To me, this leads directly into another backup piece, Goran Dragic, a name being thrown out there. Free agent, reportedly the Heat not pursuing a reunion. What are you hearing about the latest with Dragic?
Well, I think he's going to end up in a contender. We know that. And maybe the Nets, Nash is pushing for him. It may end up being the Bucks. I know the Heat don't want to. I mean, the Heat don't want to see that. Heat fans don't want to see that. There just doesn't seem to be interest right now. There's certainly interest from him. I know he wants to be down here. I think there could be a reunion in the summer. But I was told one thing about Dragic. Gabe Vincent. They're very comfortable with Gabe Vincent right now, and they don't want to cut his minutes. I think that Goran finds his way back to the Heat this summer. Maybe they make a trade and there's other pieces moved around and he's more necessary. I don't think they view him as necessary now.
Great information there. We've seen Dragic in the stands as a fan, but the move, Ethan says, is this summer. We're bringing you back later in the show to discuss the national picture. Thanks so much, Ethan. Appreciate you.
Good to be here.
The knock on the first place Panthers is that they're so good at home, but struggle on the road, 23-3 versus 11-7-5. Panthers in Chicago tonight for a chance to go to 4-1 on a 5-game road trip. First period, Aaron Ekblad getting the scoring started. EK down to his knees on the one-timer. That made it 1-0 Panthers. Let's go second period. Game tied at 1. Brandon Montour beating Marc-Andre Fleury. And then the heavy hitting starting. This is where it got scary. Calvin DeHaan puts his shoulder right into Mason Marchment. Sam Reinert taking offense. Here come the punches to the left ear hole. It's his first career fight at the NHL level. Third period, game finally getting settled down. Carter Verhaeghe feeds Mackenzie Weegar. That made it 3-1 Cats, who go on to win 5-2. Winners now of 7 of 9 in their last road games, 4-1 since the restart. The Cats alone atop the Eastern Conference.
All credit to the boys taking care of their bodies, like I said before, throughout the break, just coming prepared and focused for a big road trip. And Carolina, Minnesota, and Chicago, all really tough teams to play against. So really happy to see that we're becoming a strong road team.
3 tough buildings, 3 tough teams too. It's tough coming off a break like that, but I mean, the guys had energy. Guys were excited to be back, and it was good. 6 points.
To the NFL, Brian Flores landing in Pittsburgh. The former Dolphins head coach tabbed as a senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach. Flores, a finalist for multiple head coaching jobs this cycle, but ultimately was not hired. Now he joins the Steelers in a role that he's very overqualified for. Remember, Flores filing a class action lawsuit against the NFL earlier this month, alleging racial discrimination in hiring practices and his firing in Miami.
Extra points.
To go in depth on the Brian Flores move, Drew Rosenhaus joining Lexus Sports Extra. And Drew, why is this the job that Flores takes?
First of all, it's good to be back in studio. I was on the road for like 6 weeks in a row. It's nice. There's no football today. Feels strange. I'm actually home, but it's great to be with you and my home away from home here at Channel 7. I'm very happy for Coach Flores, and credit to the Rooney family and, of course, Mike Tomlin for ignoring all of the legal stuff, the lawsuits, and the controversy, and hiring an outstanding football coach. I dealt with Coach Flores on a regular basis when he was here with the Dolphins, and he's a fantastic coach. We represent Devin Bush, who's a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a local guy from Flanagan High School, and I called Devin up right away, and I said, Devin, you are going to love having Coach Flores. He's going to do an amazing job for you. You're going to learn so much. And all of the guys that played for him thought he was tremendous. I do think he'll be a head coach, and I think he'll be a head coach as soon as next season.
Drew Rosenhaus with the insight. Let's talk Dolphins very quickly. New head coach Mike McDaniel rounding out his staff by hiring former Dolphins legends Sam Madison and Pat Surtain to work with the secondary. How smart are these hires?
I think they're both great, because these are guys that are both coaching right now. Madison was with the Chiefs, has a chance to come home. Really well regarded. A lot of our clients enjoyed being around him. And Pat Surtain has become a legendary high school coach. But both these guys were all-time greats with the Dolphins. It's nice to pay homage to the Dolphins' history and bring in 2 guys that can get the job done. I think it's a great thing. They played the position at the highest level, arguably outside of Xavier Howard, who I think is the best Dolphin cornerback ever. Pat Surtain and Sam Madison, in my mind, would be the next 2.
Let's talk about Mike Gesicki very quickly, believed to be the top tight end in this year's free agent class. Why is it worth breaking the bank to keep him in Miami?
Because he's a very good football player, and you just can't have enough good football players. Mike McDaniel, hey, he coached George Kittle and fell in love with Kittle, and they had a great relationship. So I think this is important for Mike McDaniel, who believes in tight ends, to have a lethal weapon, at least as a receiver. And they've got other blocking guys. If they keep Durham Smythe, they've got Ethan Carter. They've got Adam Shaheen. These guys can block all day, but Gesicki's a weapon as a receiver.
Just finding that matchup. Drew, we appreciate the insight, and great to have you
Absolutely.
back in studio. It feels normal again. We needed this. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Former Heat player and assistant, now Michigan head coach Juwan Howard's in hot water following today's game against Wisconsin. Howard and Badgers head coach Greg Gard getting into it following a 14-point Wisconsin win. The situation escalating to the point where Howard makes contact with a Badgers assistant. Let's slow it down. Here's the strike. Gard saying this stems from Howard being upset about him calling a late game timeout. Howard saying it's something completely different.
I think that was very uncalled for him to touch me as we were verbalizing and communicating with one another. So that's what ended up happening, and that's what escalated it.
Coach Carter hasn't had a chance to see the video footage. I have. I think the footage speaks for itself, and I think it speaks in Greg's favor.
Touching me unnecessary wasn't cause for that when we were talking. And at that point, I thought that was, time to protect myself.
We'll let you know what the NCAA has to say about that. Let's go to college baseball. Canes looking for a 4-game sweep opening weekend against Towson University, located in the northern suburbs of Baltimore, Maryland. Second inning bases juice for Lorenzo Carrier. Carrier carrying this one out to left field and gone. Grand slam for the freshman. That made it 4-1 Canes. Same score in the third, 2-1 for Maxwell Romero Jr. Another one out to left, this time a 3-run shot. Canes win 11-1, sweeping the 4-game set. FIU looking to start 4-0 for the first time since 2014. A chance to sweep St. Thomas from Minnesota. Bottom four, Alex Sanchez putting this one over the wall in right field. That is a 2-run blast. Panthers win 9-3. Everyone at home, welcome Mike DePasquale to the show. Mike, opening weekend for FIU's baseball team, and we just saw moments ago, it's a familiar big league face helping lead the Panthers this season.
Well, for those of you who have followed the Marlins,
it is time for our first time out on Extra. When we return, Ethan Skolnick explaining how the James Harden, Ben Simmons trade deadline swap impacts the Heat and the Eastern Conference following this weekend's All-Star break. Plus, this group of golfers have never seen a bad shot. We explain how on the other side of the break. Stay with us. The 5 Reasons Sports Network's Ethan Skolnick rejoining Lexus Sports Extra tonight. And Ethan, James Harden and Ben Simmons swapped in this blockbuster trade right at the deadline between the Sixers and Nets. How does this impact the Eastern Conference playoff picture?
Well, I think Ben Simmons is going to help Brooklyn, provided that he's in shape, because he gives them something a little bit different. They needed some size and some length and some defensive prowess on the perimeter. Obviously, he's not going to do a ton of scoring, but he fits, I think, better with Durant than Harden did. On the other side, look, Embiid and Harden looks great on paper. Let me see it in the playoffs. James Harden's numbers always collapse in the playoffs. Embiid has trouble staying healthy. I don't know if that partnership is going to work. So I know everybody gets excited about Harden. He's always happy at the beginning. He's not happy later. I don't really think either of those teams are a threat to the Heat and the Bucks if the Heat and Bucks are healthy.
All right. 3 and 4 spots at the highest, says Ethan. Let's talk really quickly about the bigger picture, specifically on social media. The national networks really not giving the Heat any love, despite them being the top team in the East. Why is this?
Well, there's a New York-LA bias. We know that. Everything is LeBron or the Nets, and they play the stars, Durant, LeBron, etc. This goes back a little bit to the Big Three era. Look, nobody wanted LeBron in Miami until they had to go in June to the finals in Cleveland. And then they were like, wait a second, we preferred LeBron in Miami. The national media is really myopic about this entire situation. Again, I used to be part of it. They haven't paid any attention to this team at all. If I see one more Laker-Knick game on my television and then Stephen A. talking about it again on Monday, it's going to drive me nuts. And I know Heat fans feel this way also, but look, live with it. The fact is you're going to sneak up on a bunch of teams, and then if you're in the finals, they're going to be like, where the hell did this team come from? Who is this Caleb Martin person? Who is Omer Yurtseven? Well, he won't play probably. But any of these other guys, they are just not following this team. So you just got to kind of put it out of your mind and just recognize, look, if the Heat win a championship, they'll have to pay attention to them then. Go stop following the national media for NBA coverage. Follow local.
There you go. So 310 is out. The 212 is out. It's all about the 305. Thanks, Ethan. Great stuff from him. The Daytona 500 taking place 5 hours north of us. This is the 64th running of the Great American Race. You saw it right here on Channel 7. Let's go to the track. Trouble at the start. Kaz Grala has a runaway tire. You got to lock down those lug nuts. He'd finished 26th. Lap 63, Harrison Burton getting bumped by Brad Keselowski. That causes the big one. 8 cars involved, including the 3-time 500 winner Denny Hamlin. That ended his day. Burton would be okay, even though he's upside down there. This 500 going to overtime. It's the battle for position. Rookie Austin Cindric just edging out Bubba Wallace. Ooh, he needed just a half car length more. Everyone say hello to Donovan Campbell. D, you were out on the golf course this week watching the players that couldn't see themselves.
It was crazy. Talk about...
Great story there. Next on Lexus Sports Extra, it is back to Cleveland for more on the NBA All-Star Game. Plus, Canes Hoops explaining how this weekend's home loss to Virginia is motivating them. It's 2 weeks ahead of the ACC tournament. Keep it locked. Welcome back to Lexus Sports Extra. I'm Josh Moser. We revisit the NBA All-Star Game, a phenomenal ending for one of the greatest players to ever play in Cleveland. Final ticks, Team LeBron needs 2 points to win. And who else do they go to but LeBron himself? Drains the game-winning shot in the place where he won an NBA title. LeBron couldn't believe it after the buzzer.
I couldn't have dreamt it. I could not have dreamed of that moment any better than the actuality that just happened. For me to be back here Like I keep stating, 35 minutes south of where I grew up here in Akron, Ohio. To hit the game winner in the All-Star game where me and my guys back in the back, we used to watch the All-Star game, and I couldn't picture that moment any better.
Special. Canes basketball team having a great chance this weekend to validate the season they've had in the ACC, needing to win home against Tony Bennett and Virginia. The Canes playing very well in the first, Miami stretching the lead to as many as 10 in the early second. However, the Canes had no answer defensively late. Virginia comes back and wins 74-71, sweeping the Canes on the season.
You got to treat wins and losses the same. It's just as if you win, it's on to the next game. You can't have that unbalance of, oh, the loss, we're going to hold it over our heads more or longer. Just putting this game behind us, it's over with. All we can do is get back to just playing Miami basketball.
Final round of the Genesis Open at Riviera in Los Angeles. This is Colin Morikawa on 10. Jars it for eagle. Love the smile. However, no one had an answer all week for this man right here. That is Joaquin Niemann, eagle of his own on 11. Niemann finishing the week 19 under and wins by 2 over Morikawa and Cameron Young. Next on Extra, it is sports in its purest form. You won't want to miss this. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. Big finish, Virginia High School State Wrestling Championship. Senior Adonis Lattimore getting the win in the 106-pound weight class. Lattimore, born with no right leg and a left leg that ends at the middle of his thigh, also has one finger on his right hand, overcoming all of the odds, and now he is forever a state champion. A dream come true for Lattimore. Incredible story, and as we continue to write our own, a little motivation going into the week. That's all the time we have tonight on Lexus Sports Extra. On behalf of Donovan, Drew, Ethan, and Mike, I'm Josh Moser. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and if you're not working tomorrow on President's Day, enjoy that day off. Have a great week, everybody. Until next time, thanks for watching. We're here every Sunday night at 11:30. Hope you'll join us next week. Good night.